Trained in a dojo that there were a lot of men, right? So I would spar with the men. And so it was like, okay, because men, when they spar, they start setting up this dance with each other. And they start sizing each other up, and they're like moving back and forth and doing this kind of stuff. Women, they don't do the dance, they just come in, strike,
bam.
It doesn't hurt.
No.
But they get a point.
Right. It's just
Men want it to hurt, and they want to take it. Women are just like, point, you know.
Women are like cats. Have you seen two
We are.
cats fight?
Yeah.
They're like, and then eventually the claws will come out and one will hurt the other. But at first it's just kind of little boxing.
It's a little,
Yeah.
I guess that's how we're filling each other out.
it's true, but,
Right.
but if you,
Physically?
But
If
the
you
men
battle
are more
a
like
man.
dogs. If
Yeah.
you watch two dogs fight, they'll like kind
They'll
of
size
size
each other up.
before they go
they size
for
each
it,
other
yeah.
up and then they go in for the strike and they want it to hurt.
massive damage as much as possible.
As quickly as possible,
Yeah.
1 or 2 strikes, you're down for the count.
Yeah.
Women,
Yeah, I learned how to fight with a lot of men too, though, so that's why I'm constantly thinking just instant, like, I want to disable you as fast as possible so that you can't get back up to doing the thing again.
so yeah, and so I was raised sparring with men too, so I spar more like a man than I do a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I don't spar anymore. But
No.
that concept is really helpful within spirituality, within mental clarity, within emotional stuff. So it's like a lot of times we were talking about, you know, I don't carry a bunch of weapons with me. You know, mentally I don't carry weapons with me. Spiritually I don't carry weapons, believe it or not. I mean, I do have my claws and stuff and my beak, you know, but.
The natural ones are more.
Yeah, but, and you know, so I don't show up like that with a bunch because it just weighs me down. But I do show up with skill. And so if somebody's gonna pull a mental knife at me, I immediately figure out how to agree to disagree, grab the knife, maybe stick him back, but maybe not, just say, do you want your knife back? And
It's
then
where
they
it's
stop.
coming from, yeah. If it's coming from a place of hurt, then you don't want to hurt more.
Right.
You want to just hand it back, show them how to
Right.
do it without hurting.
Right, and so it comes in the form of like teaching this class, and there was this guy in the class, you know, he wore shorts throughout the year and high tube socks, and his hair looked like, I don't know, this Einstein, and he talked different and funny. And he would often just kind of ramble in the class while I'm teaching. And he would say stuff like, who is this granddaughter Crow and what is she trying to tell us? And I just think it's so funny because anyway, my husband caught him at the door one time and said he's not allowed, so that's all that. But you know, every once in a while you get those people who try to push your buttons, and it's kind of like, if you don't carry the weapon and everything, if you just kind of learn how to, yeah, to just kind of move out of the way. Like my son, he's a bear, and he's bigger than me, you know, he's stout. And, you know, so I had to teach him, you know, how to do that. And basically when he was a teenager, I was like, you're not recording yet, are you? You are?
This is just practice.
Oh, okay.
I'm cutting this
No,
just for
that's
our
cool.
wisdom because I know this is huge.
Cool. Basically, I'd say just because somebody lays a pile of shit right down in front of you doesn't mean that you should step in it. That's their shit, not yours. And so that's why I was wondering if you're recording.
I love
because
that.
was
That's like
dropping-
the cactus hug thing.
Yeah, that's the cactus hug thing. It's like just
This is
because
the adult
you're gonna
version.
Come at me with your load of crap, and you're waiting for me to engage with you and step in it and get all mad at you. Why not just go, wow, that's a lot of shit.
Walk away.
And just walk away. And it's kind of like, in addition to that, what we have is if somebody comes at you with a whole bunch of judgment, realize that that's their judgment. Nothing to do with you.
They're just reflecting off you.
They are reflecting off of you.
Yeah.
I had somebody come up at me with a whole bunch of judgment, And then they came back at me with, well, actually, I didn't know that they came at me with a bunch of judgment
At first.
at first. But they did come in and apologize to me. And I'm just like, why? They said, because I was judging you, and I said, you're forgiven. And they're like, you don't even know what I was judging you about. I said, well, okay, what were you judging me about? And they're like, well, you were smoking and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, I forgive you. And they're like, how did you do that so fast? I said, because truth is, you're not judging me, you're judging yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they pulled a pack of cigarettes out, saying, I'm trying to quit. So, you know, it's kind of like, that's that, oh, this is the words of my soul. So, my Navajo name is, Granddaughter Crow is my stage name, so to speak. And I step into Granddaughter Crow. And you'll know if you ever see Joy, you'll be like, where's the hat? Who are you? You know? So sometimes you see Joy too, but Granddaughter Crow putting on the hat, I step into the persona of the Holy Woman. But my actual given name, which I won't say in Navajo, but I will tell you what it means. It means the warrior of tranquility, or the one who wars in a tranquil way. So now I'm just starting to realize, it's like just because somebody drops their shit in front of you, you do not have to step in it. If somebody comes at you with a bunch of judgment, just go, wow, that's a lot of judgment. And if you don't know how to respond, if they come at you, just look at them and go, wow.
Or if somebody comes at you with a knife.
If somebody comes at you with a knife, you're like, you just step aside and take the knife away and then say, I'm sorry, did you want this back?
Unless they're gonna keep attacking you.
Yeah, if they keep attacking you,
Then you have to disarm it in more.
yeah, if
They don't
if
get
I
the knife
hand it
back then.
and they pull it on me again, then I will.
Right, yeah.
Actually, I'll take the knife, I'll flip it over, and
Right.
I'm a warrior,
Yeah.
And more force when you do a knife like that. Shouldn't know these things.
It's funny you're saying all this. My oldest daughter is very confrontational, and we've had this frictional relationship for years.
Sure.
And this week she came up and he again poked me with all the usual things that
Yes.
usually generate a response out of me. This week, it flipped. My response was I just looked at it and I took it totally different, and I was like, I still love you.
Yeah.
I was like, I still love you. And she came back with a whole bunch more stuff, and I said, I certainly understand that, but I love you, and if you ever want to have a relationship with me, I'll be here. And it just stopped, cold.
It does, it does.
There was no more drama, no more friction,
Because
Because you didn't slip in the shit.
I didn't jump in, oh, let's
It takes
go, I
two.
gotta prove my
Yes.
point, I
It
gotta be
takes two to
right.
tango, so
It
it
does.
takes two to engage.
It does, and something else I learned from martial arts was stance,
Sturdiness.
Yeah, just
Balanced.
be grounded, be balanced, but be light, be
Different
quick.
stances for different things.
Different things for different stuff, yeah. And that really, the first move in anything is to move away. Defense is the first move. Another thing that I love to look at, I live my life, I try to remember to do this, I did it for like a couple of months, it was really cool, the karate way. And karate means open hand. So there's none of this stuff. No holding on. It's just like, okay. Don't hold on. Okay, let that go. All right. And so there's a bunch of wisdom.
Yeah, and
in
one
all
of the
those.
best you shared with Ben and I for our kids, because we're raising a second set, and we're like, we gotta do something different. She goes, young warriors have something to prove. Old warriors don't. And we're like, oh.
Yeah,
That felt so good.
it's true. So the young warrior will want to prove itself. When I
Like
was
your daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking,
when I was a
oh yeah,
young
well, I can
warrior.
show you, Mom, okay.
Yeah, you're like, wow, look at you go.
It's like, you almost feel like you're standing in one place and she's like running around and going,
You're Tasmanian.
You feel like you're in some sort of cartoon.
They're literally holding space for you.
Yeah, and then the older warrior actually looks for everything that they can do to not have the war. They have nothing else to prove, They have nothing
just want
left
peace and quiet.
to prove.
that is exactly where I'm at in life, it's like, just peace,
All right.
people don't think about you as much as you think that they think about you. You know, I get haters, you know, I do, I get haters, and the haters come at me and they're like, you know, you are a wannabe because you're half-breed and blah, 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 and they'll post stuff like that on my YouTube. I had it on my YouTube channel. Or they get mad at me and say, you shouldn't be teaching non-native native things. You know, they come at me. And, you know, it hurts my feelings a lot, right? And I'm like, wah. But then I realize, wait, they're off to their next kick. They're not even thinking about me anymore. They couldn't care less about me, and that is their stuff. But then I started thinking about it. The more that you grow in doing what you do authentically, there will be a certain percentage of haters because they want to stop you from doing what you're doing. You're supposed to not be someone unique. You're supposed to not be something authentic because they're not allowing themselves to be authentic. So what gives you the right, Granddaughter Crow, to wear that hat and throw down that
So they're
stuff?
still projecting.
They're protecting themselves and they're trying to pull you down so that you don't grow. But then again, think about it. If there's only a small percentage, so now every time I get a hater, I'm like, I must be growing. You know?
Good sign.
Yeah, I must be growing. And I learned something from them too. You know, I learned that mentality is still out there and that I need to be gracious around that type of stuff.
Where your triggers might still be.
Yeah, where triggers may be and things like that. And I learn from people, which is great because I want to continuously learn. But then I thought about it too, and it's like, wow, well, if I was a football player, which obviously I'm not, but if I were a football player, I'd be walking out there to perform knowing, guaranteed, that half that stadium hates you. And they go out there and play, and the fans get vicious. It's like, there's like, that's a religion.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Think about soccer.
It's crazy.
Like people get into like fights and kill each other over soccer.
Yeah.
Like football isn't even as bad as some of the sports in this world.
Oh yeah. Well, like hockey.
Yeah.
We're asking them to hurt each other.
Yeah,
or,
we want
or
blood.
boxing, you know, boxing too. My dad was a boxer, the Navajo boxer, when he was in Okinawa Island in the Korean War. And the funny thing about him is now, then he was a shepherd when he was young, then he turned into a boxer, and then now he turns into a shepherd again, you know, he's just really kind of gentle being, but there's a fighter in him. And that's good. I think that we should acknowledge the internal warrior because, and how we internally war, because that needs to step up too. You know, because of the world that we live in, we need to be able to protect ourselves, our children, and stand up, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just with words. So sometimes you do need to engage and just tell somebody, look, you're being really judgmental. I feel like that made me feel like you were being judgmental. And then you can disengage or whatever. And then don't let it eat at you because that's what it wants to do. So there is a certain amount, you know, how big you are is like, I'm this big. Well, when I need to grow to this big, my next level, I will hit what we call like the watchers at the gate or the people at the threshold or that energy that keeps pushing you back, telling you, you are not allowed. Who gives you the right to be an author? You got an F in high school English, you know? Yes, true story. So it's like, I don't know, maybe I did some extra credit, but I got it because I did get out of high school. So one way or another. But it's kind of like that voice inside of you and or the people around you will try to push you back from growing to your next level. So you need to really be strong and step into your next level, even though you're like, I don't know the lay of the land, I don't know what to call myself, I don't know how I feel about all of this. But you'll get used to that next level and get used to busting those walls because we're ever expanding. And I thought to myself one time, what if at the end of my life, I realized my true greatness, and that's what took my breath away. So now we'll get into shamanism. So welcome to week 3 of Shamanism 101. I am granddaughter Crow, and I am excited to share the wisdom that I have been learning from the animals and trees and spirit and you guys and all of that. So in the first week, just kind of review, we talked about what does a shaman do. You know, we learned about shamanism as it's a global thing. We learned that shamans intercede between realm to realm and how many realms there are, including the realm of the copy room and all of that type of stuff. So if you weren't here for the first week and you want it, let me know. Just indicate it. We'll kind of indicate it on my sheet so that I can keep track and make sure I get it to you. And so we also talked about all is energy. And I think I probably say that in every single class that I teach, don't I? Because when I'm talking about psychic development, I'm talking about all is energy. When I'm talking about empaths, I'm talking about all is energy. All is energy. Is that, for those of you who have, every class I say all is energy. Because when you begin to, it simplifies what we're talking about. We're engaging with energy. That's it. And sometimes when that energy is coming at you, you just step aside. Sometimes when it's coming at you, you hug it, you know, that type of stuff. But it's all energy. We talked about the 3 realms, the upper realm, the middle realm, the lower realm, and all of that type of stuff. We talked about animism, the perception and perspective and the lenses that everything has consciousness and or a soul, which then goes back to, again, all is energy. But if you realize, if you really think about, wow, that tree knows me, it knows what I feel like, I feel different than this other energy, it kind of brings us closer to the world, the natural world. And also, you know, the other types of things like, you know, naming your car and all of that type of stuff. And so I think that we forget, oh yeah, there's other energy too. This is energy for me. And we are energy. But if you think about it from that perspective, what kind of a life would you be living? How would you be talking with your computer? How would you be talking with the camera? How would you be talking to the room? How would you talk to the rain? Interesting fact too about weather. Not that I was talking about weather and now I'm coming back to it, I just bounced to it. Because it's raining outside. I don't know. I'm a crow, literally. You know, that's what I do. With weather, did you know in the Navajo way there is the feminine rain and then the masculine rain?
I noticed there's an energy to it, like whenever a storm comes through,
Yes.
you can feel like if you're attuned to it, you can feel the different energies coming in.
Yes, and it also helps to calm things down if we have a lot of static electricity. And then the lightning also holds those negative ionic charges, which actually relieve us in the atmosphere, so we can take naps, or it makes me happy and excited, but those naps in the rain time and all of that type of thing. But it's kind of like looking at everything as it is an energy and a consciousness. It holds a consciousness. And so last week we went into the medicine wheel, which was a lot of fun. Wanted to hear, what did you guys think about that? Did you get to think any more about it? Did you create one, or are you still kind of sitting in the info, or you're still sitting in the info?
I'm still in the info. I tried, I pulled out a piece of paper and kind of started writing down ideas, so. that's
Awesome.
yeah.
Good, because it helps us to, it's like, yeah, we can free float, but why not get a map and a little red arrow that says you are here, and then you can figure out where you're going. That medicine wheel helps you to center yourself, and it helps you to consider that you're a part of everything else as well, and that everything is always changing. And then you can go back to it when you're in a winter time and go, oh, the next thing is spring. I'm gonna wait for that and start warming it up. Because a lot of times there is the individual and then there is the environment. And those two have to dance with each other, you know, they have to dance and move with each other. And then we did a little bit of journey work last week, and I popped you guys, I didn't get you deep enough and I popped you out too soon, so if we have time, we'll probably do another one, but I've got a lot to say, so Maybe we will, maybe we won't. So now we're at the spot where I'm gonna talk about animals, gonna talk about seasons and weather, gonna talk a little bit about plants, and then I'm gonna show, this is the new part. I do this every day when I'm working, how to apply the lessons and the wisdom that we learn from these into relationships, business, health and well-being. So we're going to talk about what it is, and we're going to learn how to apply that information so that you guys can have tools to be able to do it. So you don't have to go, I'm going to go in for a read from Grandaddy Crow. You can just get out your cards and start flipping them and go, okay, I get the energy. I see what's going on, because it's all natural and all organic. So animals. And for those of you who have heard this before, thank you for listening to it again, even if it was just yesterday. So basically, what we're looking at is 4 different categories of animals. So it starts with how we are communicating with the natural world. And we're doing it more than we think we are. So I reflect back to a book written by Alton Barber called Louder Than Words. It's a textbook, college textbook out of print, so if you Google it, it may cost like, I don't know, $300 or something. But you can Google the information in it, I think Wiki has it. And this book, I read it in the undergrad communications class, and it astonished me, and this has stuck with me, and I just read it once. And that 7% of all communication is words. 7. Which means that 93% of communication is nonverbal, which is what the natural world does. The natural world does not necessarily speak English. We translate it into English. The natural world speaks to us in volumes, though. I think it's like 38% is tone, pitch, how fast or slow I'm speaking. Like if I'm talking like this, oh my God, you know, I sound like a rally girl. I just aged myself, didn't I? Square pegs, square pegs, square pegs. Oh my God, where does this come from? The rain. No. So then what happens is that 55% then is body language and facial expressions, you know? And so, like if I tell you, I'm so sad, you guys.
It doesn't really work.
No, you believe that I'm happy more than you believe that I'm sad. But if I text you and thinking that was funny, then you'd be like, oh, what's wrong? And I'd be like, nothing, why? You know? But that's why I think that we came up with emojis, is to show that expression, right? And that thumbs up body language, thumbs down body language. Now we have all of these different lines. Even the Stephen Colbert, did you guys see that Stephen Colbert has
No.
he's a late night show guy, comedian, and I think he does something with his eyebrows or something, so there's a Stephen Colbert emoji. I like Stephen Colbert. So, in thinking about that, think about the animals. What are they doing? What are they showing you? I remember I learned this lesson from a gorilla. I was standing at the zoo years and years and years ago, probably 20 years ago, and there was this huge gorilla who I thought was really intriguing. So I was staring at the gorilla, and the gorilla was staring at me. But see, I didn't understand that if a gorilla is staring that intently at you and you don't back off, not good. He taught me this by going, he was just sitting there, and I was like staring at him like this far from that glass, and he's just sitting there, and then he just leaped up and just boom, hit the glass, and then just sat back down, and I was like, whoa! And he's like, who's your daddy? And I was like, okay. okay. Don't stare down animals. Don't do it. My cat even swipes at me if I stare too deeply into her eyes. She's just like, so there's a protocol there. It's kind of funny because the Navajo, in the English-speaking world, I had to learn how to look at people when I'm talking to them. Because the natural Navajo world, because I was raised around a lot of mostly Navajo people, and so they look down when they're talking, and you probably see that I do this a lot. Look down when you're talking. It means that you're in deep contemplation. If you stare at somebody in the Navajo way, you're challenging them. So it's very similar to the gorilla, which I should have known because I was Navajo, but I guess we don't have gorillas on the res, so I didn't know. Sorry, gorilla. But thank you for your wisdom.
Sometimes you just don't connect the dots, is what I call it.
Right. I was like, you like to be stared at. Yay, you're on stage. And he's like, fill in the blank. So the beautiful thing is that we already know what they're saying by their stance, by the tone. If you walk outside and you hear, you've got this whole different thing, like they're warning each other or they're talking to each other about something that they're really excited about. But then if you get this lower thing, and it's like, okay, that means something different. That's probably a bigger animal, so listen to it. And like if my cat goes, meow, it's like, love me. But he's like, meow. That's a different message, right? It's a totally different message.
I'm hungry.
So watch what people, yeah, what did you say?
I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's always hungry. And she needs me to get her food. Like, I'm her personal servant. My husband, she won't ask him for food all day, and then when I come home, she's all about, Mom, get me food, Dad didn't feed me. Like, quit trying to drive a wedge between me and my husband so that you can be my number one.